Now, because I've always been fascinated and curious about business, I developed a discipline or habit of reading the business papers daily. People would laugh at me when every Saturday morning I'll drive over to the bookshop, buy a copy of the Financial Times and other business magazines, and spend 3 hours studying them. And years later, they would ask me, "How do you know so much?" I've probably won more business and made more money from the discipline of reading than from anything else. So for me, self-discipline has become a habit, a way of living in many areas of my life. Be it going to gym, eating healthy, reserving time to think, or spending time with my daughter, I have to be disciplined to make sure that these things happen. In my experience, there are actually just two things upon which all my discipline hangs on. The first is having a clear goal. What am I trying to achieve? Build clarity around that. And when I do that, it results in me having a clear purpose. Let me give you an example. The idea of Mr. Mac Learning actually began in 2012, but we only launched the company in 2020. What helped me through some really dark, difficult, and challenging times was that I know my purpose in life is to be a teacher and a businessman. And I knew I could create something that had the potential to serve millions and millions of people across the African continent and even across the world. My grandmother and my father would look at me from above and they'll be proud. So Mr. Mac is in my values. It's in my DNA. It's aligned to my faith. That sense of purpose, that clarity in terms of the goal, was essential in building and sustaining the discipline to develop Mr. Mac, especially when we had big setbacks. The second pillar on which much discipline hangs is really delaying gratification. Again, I'll use a very simple example. Lots of my friends and colleagues would laugh at the car I drove, even after I qualified as a chartered accountant. How can a CA drive such a crappy car? They would sneer. But I always knew that driving my Ford Laser or my Toyota Corolla and not having to make a car payment every month would allow me to save money and to start my own business. That capacity to delay gratification has been very profitable. Mr. Mac Learning would not have been created if I'd chosen to buy a Mercedes or BMW early on in my career. You've got to sacrifice today to reap the promises of tomorrow. That's it. Have a purpose. Delay gratification. That sets you up to be able to make disciplined decisions for the long term.